The challenge is so back. Plus, TJ has a sick bike, Ashley gets leading lady honors, Frank is trying very hard to remain chill, Turbo eats berries but doesn't speak, Dario is very much considering life as a stepdad, and oh, so many actual, juicy, real, raw rivalries and emotions at play. And did I say the start that the challenge is so back? It's the challenge All Stars Rivals premiere episode recap coming up right now. What up, my fellow challenge lovers? Welcome to The Challenge Historian, where we dive deep into all things MTV's The Challenge, past, present, or future, if it's happening in the challenge universe. We are here to document it. I am your host and dedicated challenge historian, Jacob Hollaball. Thank you so very much for being here with me on this premiere date, Wednesday night, or whichever day you happen to be listening at some point in the future. All Stars 5 Rivals is upon us, and one episode in, I'll give you the full spoiler of my reactions right now. I love it. It's awesome. It's as good as we were hoping it could be. So with this first episode, of course, there's a lot to talk about. Only an hour episode, not the 90 minutes we've become accustomed to over recent All-Star seasons, recent flagship seasons, recent every season, but we'll take what we can get. It was very, very good. A lot to discuss. We will do that in just 1 second. Quick programming reminders before we do. Main one is every Wednesday night for the foreseeable future, 10 weeks, 12 weeks, 14 weeks, however many weeks this season ends up being. That's how many weeks we will be here on Wednesday night, ready for you Thursday morning when you're hitting your commutes, when you're hitting the gym, whatever you're doing, or sometime throughout the weekend. We'll be here Wednesday nights, All-Stars 5 coverage all season long, and I will still be doing the Battle of the Eras. I know, the season that went like 18 months, no one cares about, hasn't cared about for weeks. It was happy to have over. Couldn't believe there was 2 reunion episodes on top of everything else. Everyone else has forgotten about it. I still have not 100%. I have not closed the book on that season. I did not end up doing my end of season recap and awards last week at the end of the week like anticipated. And for once, this wasn't a said I was going to do it, just didn't do it yet situation that you've had unfortunate amount of. But this one, in fact, was getting ready to do it and decided I wasn't ready. I had some different things I wanted to talk about, and I really actually wanted to watch the first episode of All Stars 5 because I had watched some of, out of nowhere, watched some of Dirty 30, completely spontaneous. It was on MTV2, started watching it, had some thoughts as it related to Battle of the Eras and where the challenge sits, wanted to watch All Stars 5, the first episode, before doing the end podcast about Battle of the Eras. So that will be out. It'll probably be later on Friday, so maybe not even hitting your apps and everything till Saturday morning, the weekend, what have you. But it will be out in a couple days' time, and it will be as much a battle of the season recap and awards. We still have to give the MVP. We still have to do all of the stuff we always do. But it'll also be a little bit of a state of the challenge and kind of looking at this new season, All Stars 5, where the challenge has been at different points, where Battle of the Eras was, the hype for it, what it happened, the whole thing. It'll be a much more holistic wrap up because we have waited. So that will be out. And then again, All Stars coverage the rest of the season. Agenda for the podcast. Look, we've been doing this for, 10, 11 seasons, something like that now. It's the same tried and true formula. We're going to walk through the whole episode, break down everything that was worth noting on or commenting on or opinionating on. Those are not words that I'm using, but I think you understand what I'm trying to say. And then we'll hand out some awards from the episode, and then we will update our power rankings and give some predictions for next week. Sounds good? Sounds great. Let's dive in. All Stars 5 Rivals, which sounds way better. When TJ says the challenge, All Stars Rivals, and it's like, dude, the 2 semicolon thing. Just say All Stars 5 Rivals. It sounds better to throw the number in there. I'll be throwing the number in there. That's what we're talking about. Episode 1. Here we go. We start where the episode starts, the opening. TJ coming in, everyone at the arena saying hello, seeing our cast, getting in teams, the whole shebang. Now, because this is All Stars on MTV and I watch on YouTube TV, I typically start the episodes a few minutes late. I like to wait so that then I can fast forward through the first commercial break or two and eventually get caught up live so that then the last commercial break or two, I can, check in on Twitter, read some tweets, check out what the streets are saying and how they are reacting. But I didn't realize that because it's the All-Stars version and not flagship, I typically have it set like record the challenge. Any episode of the challenge is always recording on my YouTube TV. And then I go on there like at 7:07 my time, Central Time. It starts at 7 Central Time. And it's 7 minutes in and it won't let me go back to the beginning. And I was like, holy shit, I'm an idiot. Like, this is technically a different show, so it's not recording it. And I was super bummed, but then I remembered, they put out the first 5 minutes of the show, basically the portion I had missed. And I always skip watching when they put those things out, as they did a couple days ago. The main account was like, here's the first 5 minutes of All Stars 5. And I was like, I'll watch it when I watch the episode. That's when I want to watch it. But then I was very thankful. So I paused and let it keep recording in the background while I went over and watched that from social media. And then Mark Long was nice enough. He had tweeted out that. And then like the next couple minutes clip. So I watched that and then was like, ooh, I'm caught up to where I was. So I ended up seeing it all. But what I'm saying is it took me a second to get there. But the whole open, it was great. And the main thing I got to say is they went to the rivals at the exact right time. Again, if you didn't just skip to the beginning of the breakdown here, I will be doing my Battle of the Eras / State of the Challenge podcast here on Friday. Waited to do it for some reasons. And this little point does play into that of like, they waited till the exact right moment to be like, we need something good. We need to coming after whatever, however they thought Battle of the Eras was going to go. And however you think it went, they filmed it all knowing this is a big monumental season. And then something has to be the next season. And I think they planned pretty well of like, if you're going to have to follow that up with something really good, that seems like a natural point for like a lot of people to be like, okay, let's call it quits. I stuck it out for this. I stuck it out through 40. And if I'm underwhelmed at all, maybe we get off. So they saved Rivals for the exact right time. Great call by them. And Rivals just works. It works. We've said it a million times over. We've discussed it on a bunch of episodes, a bunch of different short form videos, a bunch of everything. Rivals is the best format in the history of reality competition shows. Reality shows in general, probably just the history of everything. It's the best theme and format of anything ever, forever, all time. And only a show like The Challenge with so many repeat characters doing so many seasons after seasons after season, having so many different relationships, is it possible. And so I was excited coming in, and then the moment they're all walking out there, and I'm like, oh my God, TJ's going to tell them they're rivals and put them in their pairs. The juices were flowing. I was so excited. It just felt big. It felt as special and fun, and I was as amped up as I thought I was going to be, and I had high expectations, which I was trying to dampen because, like, I'm someone who's learned to maybe don't set too high of expectations. That's not fair to whatever you're setting those expectations for. But I allowed the expectations to get really high. And in the moment, right as the beginning, the opening, I was really amped up. I was so excited and I was having such a great time saying hello to all these people that maybe some have been on recently and some we haven't seen in a while, but whose relationships to each other, some are old, some are new, some are medium length long, and was just having a great time with it. Ashley Mitchell, Millionaire Mitchell, gets the opening spotlight. First one, I think Frank had the first confessional, which is definitely a good call, but Ashley is the first one TJ talks to. We get the montage of her. And this also goes back to something I alluded to in the either last or two podcasts ago on Battle of the Eras recaps, one of the last ones. And then on the season preview of the show, I think I kind of actually discussed or brought up that I'm starting to think, Ashley was the one and only true 100% snub from Battle of the Eras. I made a video about it. I talked about it many, many times. Snub, you got to replace somebody. So there was other people that should have been there, but like, it's hard to know who they would have replaced. And there's really only one 100% standout of like, this is absurd that they didn't call her over who the spots were given to. And it was Ashley for Era 3. And I've come around to the idea they did it on purpose. They knew, again, season 40, going to be this big monumental thing. And then we're going to need people to like watch the next season. What are we going to do? We're going to use Rivals and we're going to save, AKA not invite to 40, a couple people that we think we can then get to do All Stars 5 and be our stars. And the main one is going to be Ashley Mitchell. They know how much of a fandom she has, how riled up her fan base can get. And so I'm starting to think they did this on purpose to like have a star, no matter what, a bona fide, put her on the poster. This is the star of the season. Hopefully, she makes it long enough to like live up to that, be the whatever. But I think they waited for her for this reason. They put her first here. They know this. It's great. Her and Anissa, also, quick sidebar. We'll kind of at some point in this talk about, by the way, this is probably going to be a very long episode. It's probably going to be as long as the actual television episode was itself. So buckle up. But Ashley and Anissa was one of the rivalries where like, it's not really, there's nothing there to go off of. And we did get in one of the preview clips that then ended up not being in this first episode. Maybe it'll be later on, but Anissa discussing that the first ever Challenge Mania Live shout out in the show. Again, it wasn't in the show, but it was in a clip that the official account shared from a confessional that they were filming for the show of Anissa being like, I maybe talked some shit about Ashley a couple times and she maybe found out and then let her feelings be known that like she doesn't like me at all. And Ashley lets it be known here. Yeah, I don't like her at all. And so that rivalry is actually real, even if we don't have anything to point to here. And then the last thing about the opening, everything's great. The bike, TJ's bike's amazing. TJ looks great. They all look great. He's correct. It's a hot group here. People who immediately proved why they were great. Just a quick rundown. Devon immediately is like, yeah, this is what we just confessional after confessional. Give as many to her as possible. Katie, same thing. Dario looks great. Love having him back. If you weren't someone who realized how great Dario was as a cast member before, it's so far so good. And I think him proving anyone else that didn't think the way I do to come back to my side of like Dario's great and this is going to be great having him here. Frank, amazing. Steve and Adam, I think immediately kind of with their confessionals. And Steve's energy is so unique for this show of his kind of different sense of humor and just kind of his how much he does enjoy being there and wants to be there and respects that like he gets to be there, but also is like a little bit over a lot of it at the same. It's a weird mixture. He's just, I really enjoy him as an ingredient, as a variable in this cast that is a bit different than the rest of them. Him and Adam together, I think, is actually going to work really well. And Melissa is the last one. I could put so many on this list, but just a bunch of people immediately, first confessionals, first moment they're mentioned, shown on the dais. You're like, yep. This is great. We've got star power. This is going to go really, really well. Next up, they go to the house, and we're going to break this up as much as we can. The whole podcast here, the whole walk through the episode is basically just going to be talking about more, at least half, if not more, of the teams individually in kind of whichever spot, the house, the daily challenge, or afterwards, just, fitting it in where we can. We'll do 3 segments here: house, daily, everything else, and just kind of basically talk about each team at some point here, but trying to do it in chronological order to some degree. The house itself, quickly, the run-in's great. Love the search for the rooms. Love that Nany can't find one. It felt very, it was the one true moment of the episode where they was like, they do feel like beyond it being rivals, and using a theme, it felt like them being like, we are still going to try to do some like all-stars playing the hit nostalgia stuff, try to make it look, feel, or really be like some older challenges, not like old school, but like older than recent challenges. And that how the house part felt like that. And the house itself, it's on the water. They pull up by boat. That's cool. The house looks sick. And it looks like a big upgrade as far as them and their living situation over the Battle of the Eras house, which, reminder, this is being filmed in the same location in Vietnam, using a lot of the same daily challenge locations, etc., but not the same house. Clearly, very different house. And a lot of the cast members didn't love the situation of the house on Battle of the Eras. It made for great filming and ease for production, but they didn't. Some of the cast members really spoke out early on about like, this house kind of sucked and no one really liked it. We'll see if that's the case here. As long as the AC works as well as Turbo says that it does, I think everyone's going to be happy with this house and accommodations. Nicole and Melissa, one of the many teams that gets some shine early on, and it's definitely going to happen. Okay, I said in the preview that I was excited for old cast member Nicole to come back. Nicole was an amazing cast member her first couple of seasons. Last season in particular was, a bit of a tough watch. The Nicole, Laurel, all of that we don't have to discuss it. I was hoping there would be basically no discussion of it. I figured there would have to be one single confessional. And I was aware I'm on the social media streets, quite often in the challenge world. And so I was aware of the Melissa, Laurel hangouts, Instagram story posts, etc. So we got the quick discussion of that. I hope that is the extent of it, but make no bones about it. Old Nicole, not even old, even last season's Nicole with Laurel. Nicole in a challenge house she's not gonna get lonely, but she's gonna get with someone. She's just going to, okay? And no one should cheat. And I felt bad that they even you don't have to show the girlfriend. Now, it would be amazing because no one should cheat. That if Nicole didn't in this situation, I'm not, if I were to bet on something of this situation, which does not feel like a thing you should place bets on. But if you forced me to, again, I would be betting on something might happen here between these two women. But, maybe she'll prove me wrong and it'll be fine that they showed her girl. But I'm like, if you know that something does eventually happen between these two women, it's kind of diabolical to show the girlfriend. You can say that there's a girlfriend. We need that part of the context of the story that might or may not end up happening, but you don't got to show her. So pulling for you, Nicole's girlfriend, that Nicole is faithful throughout this filming, but Melissa, as Nicole says, Melissa, it's pretty hard to be partnered with her and not, get some ideas. Okay. She's clearly one of those people that, to me, there's been a few people like this happens and you kind of hear comments about this, especially some of the challenge lives. I've heard this about a few different cast members. There's cast members, and I think Melissa fits into this, that are clearly we watch them from at home on our television. We're like, wow, that person is very attractive. And, in Melissa's case, she's very attractive. She seems really cool. She seems seductive without trying. And you're watching that on TV and you're like, yeah, those are all things that I might say about her. And then you would hear a cast member be like, yeah, in person though, she's actually more attractive. One of those people that happens outside the reality world, but it's a good place where it happens fairly often, where you're like, you think she's attractive on television or he's attractive on television. And then you meet him in person. And you're like, wow, you actually are. Holy shit, you might be more attractive in person. Melissa feels like one of those people. And so, yeah, I think that's, I'm fingers crossed it doesn't, for relationships' sake, but feels like it might. Then we get Nany and Turbo, one of probably the stars of the episode. If there is one, there's a couple focus points of the episode. Nany and Turbo certainly are one. In this, as we said on the season preview, top-notch, tried to combine those words, top-notch rivals pairing. Was ready for them to be main characters. They deliver immediately, and I'm here for it. I am seated. I am hopeful that they have at least, halfway point, if not all the way to the finals run in them, just simply to witness them together as partners, because they are just the picturesque, perfect rivals pair as far as the backdrop, the friendship, the arc, turned rivals, the whole thing. Everything about it's great. The fact that they could be really good, but there's just no way they're ever going to actually work well together for more than a few minutes at a time, maybe one challenge at a time. And Nany clearly knows all of this. She clearly knows, one, that Turbo kind of sucks. And that's definitely her opinion. That's a lot of people in the challenge house's opinion. That's a lot of fans' opinion. And watching him, I think, is that this guy kind of sucks. I think she's like, I think he sucks. I think he's extremely frustrating to deal with, but also I'm pretty sure he and I could win. As she literally says here, we can win together. We're good enough, plenty good enough. We're a great pair when we work together. We can win this thing. And she sees a guy who she thinks sucks, she thinks is frustrating beyond belief, but also could be her ticket to her first win. And that is just fantastic, fantastic television for us to get to watch. Turbo doesn't like the AC. Fascinated by that. Got to know more about what temp they got going on inside, how hot it is outside. I need to know more about it. Him eating berries that he had just resting on his belly while he slumped over swing in the porch swing was just so funny to me. I don't know why, but when they just showed him swinging by himself, I found it to be hilarious. I wonder if the cowboy hat is a response to Jordan, who it could be one of Turbo's other many rivals, if that would have been a thing. But the last time I saw a white cowboy hat of that style was Jordan on his season of All-Stars that he did. So I'm interested to know if there's any connection there, or just complete and utter circumstantial, just coincidental is the word I'm looking for there. And Turbo, though, does still seem like kind of a tough hang. Doesn't seem like he wants to communicate in any way. In the like his English is one thing. His English has gotten a little bit better, and he clearly, like, he can communicate perfectly good in English when he chooses to. It isn't a function of like the language barrier that it was a little bit his initial season. There was definitely and was part of him and Nany like working so great together, is there was some real language barrier communication portions that came up here or there. That's mostly gone, but what remains is his lack of desire to communicate. And again, it just makes this pair is going to be TV gold. I don't think they're going to enjoy being together, but there is a version of them, like they say, that could work extremely well together, as they have done before, and a version of them that wins. So yeah, I'm interested to watch where that goes. And then finally we had Beth and Jonna. That was the other team. Those two teams really took up the bulk of the house time. As much as they bounced around, we kind of got a word in here with everyone, checked in with everyone. These two pairs got the bulk of the time. Beth and Jonna definitely deserved the bulk of the time, because as they get into here, this is the most bitter of rivalries, because it has to deal with the most real life situation and betrayals and extremely hard feelings, and so much wrapped up in the rumor spreading that went down on All Stars 3. And I don't know, I'm just going to say this one time and then never commented on again. Same as I said back on All Stars 3. I have no idea if anything that Beth says is true, said on that season is true, or was true, or ever was true. Any of that, any version of true, doesn't matter to me. I don't care. And I'm gonna assume that it's not. Just go with the assumption that it's not, and that'll be the last that I speak of that. And we'll try to keep all discussion on just their relationship, and not anything that may or may not have happened, or the rumors, or anything of that nature, other than, as Jonna says here, because of this all being put out there on television, she ended up in marital counseling for a long time, spending a bunch of money, going through a very difficult time of like this potentially difficult time, or not, regardless, in her life, was aired out on national TV when it didn't need to be. It had nothing to do with the game. It had nothing to do with anyone in the game. And but that's Beth. That's what Beth does, and that's why she is the character that she has been for a very long time in almost every season that she's ever been on of this program. And she does say sorry, and she does own it. She says, it takes accountability a couple times. That's a fine start. That's a good start. That's a good place to be, Beth. And I'm happy. Again, betting man, you would have asked me coming in, will Beth say sorry, or will she be like, I don't know, though, is it really my fault? Is it whatever? Like, I'd be like, I don't know, 50-50. Beth could go either way on given this type of situation. And I'm very glad and proud of Beth that she went with I'm going to apologize and own it. That's good. Got to be a lot louder, got to be a lot more profuse in it, because again, Jonna is spot on in pointing out like the punishment didn't fit the crime, as far as like, I was coming after you in the game, and so you decided to try to like ruin my life outside of the game that had nothing to do with the game. Like, come on, dude. So I was all of it was great, very emotional, very good real life stuff that we're watching unfold. And the whole time, all I could think, as juicy as it was, as interesting as it was, as raw as it was, the only thing I could think is like, if Beth was Ashley, either of the Ashleys, both champions, or just someone else that isn't Beth, respectfully to Beth, that had a good track record in the game, or was a Nany Turbo situation where she could be like, I really hate this person, but I also think I could win because of this person. If Jonna was in that situation, she is definitely capable of burying these very deserved hard feelings deep down and just trying to go get that money. But I think the whole time, all I could think about was like, Jonna hates Beth for sure, but also knows they have no chance to win. And so I'm guessing Jonna the whole time is like, do I even go through with these conversations and like having these talks and these moments and like rehashing all of this on television again to just almost assuredly lose at some point? Or could I just quit and leave and go back to my husband and child that I miss very much? So that's got to be tough. We then went to the daily challenge, and Veronica comes in. We all know, of course, we're watching that's who Katie's partner is. But Katie is, I'm sure she was pretty confident in like who it was, but also she's correct at the beginning of like, there's a few people it could be. And when they showed the clips and everything, I was like, ooh, I wonder how confident she was that it was Veronica, and how much she might have thought, especially seeing like, there's a couple rivalries here from very recent seasons, like Corey and Big T is from, she might not know that, but like is from last, 39, like filmed not that long before they filmed this one. Steve and Adam is from All Stars 4. Kellyanne and Sylvia's from All Stars 3. Is there any part of Katie that was like, it's going to be Trishelle? Or, I just wonder how confident she was that Veronica's about to walk in there. And if she also in her head was like hoping that it was one of her rivals versus a different one, I don't know. But Veronica and Katie, they will always be icons. The montage of them, fantastic. All of it, fantastic. I had forgot. Was the reality awards that they won the best fight for, was that not like, was that a sub shoot of the VMAs, or was it its own thing that I'm just not remembering? Wasn't as locked in back in 2002 as I am anywhere near now. But yeah, all of that was amazing. And then the challenge itself is a really good opening challenge for a few reasons. I think it was a fair, decent test of the pairs and kind of doing a couple different things together, a lot of physicality to it, but some strategy and just like, can you work together, which in a rivals one, you want the first couple challenges just to basically be like, can you work together and communicate together? And that's going to really be the basis of who gets this done. So that's good. It's also good because everyone went at once, which is good for viewing, and it makes it go really fast. This was a fast, quick daily challenge with like all of you go at once. Easy to explain, no big setup, no harnesses, no nothing. You can come, I'll explain it. You get on the starting line. 4 teams are done within, 15, 20 minutes. The horn blows. We're in and out of here in an hour or two. And that way we can get you back to the house, to the pool, give you some alcohol, let you have some fun, and film more of that. The more house time, the better, especially early on. So good opening challenge all around, be for all the reasons it could be. The 4 stars twist is back. The star to get in the final. I'm fine with it. It mostly worked on All Stars 4. I got to go back and check some of my notes if I felt that way the whole time or not, and at the end, but I think it mostly worked, and I'm good. I'm fine with this version of it, this setup of it, is even if I think there's better versions of Star Twist. I've done videos on that, but I am hopeful that there will be a bonus star up for grabs at the end and we take 5 teams to the final. I do think that will probably happen. And I was also thrilled after that he gives some, he lays out the 4 stars part. He also lays out either here or in the opening, like, you are with your partner till the end. You will win together. You will lose together. Like, don't expect no format twists, anything like that. Thank you. Good. And I'm glad they showed that from the beginning. And even more so, I loved that there was no loser or elimination on the first daily. It was just, here's a daily challenge to set our 4 star holders to start. You can all go home, enjoy your night, and we will come back and do the first real round tomorrow once we have had these set. So love everything about that. Again, more house time, especially early on, the better. Thank you. I love you. Production. And then finally, good strategy, good teamwork for the 4 winners, plus Big T and Corey. 5 teams really did stand out above the rest. Big T and Corey just fell short of getting in that top 4, which may ultimately be totally fine. Having a star, episode 1, I don't think it's bad for any of the teams that got it. I think the 4 teams were going to kind of be the 4 biggest targets if everyone just assessed who do we think is the best teams here. Like you'll see when I do my power rankings that, that's where a lot of them are going to end up. And so no real surprises from who does well, who kind of struggles. Overall, good daily challenge. Enjoyed it and was thrilled to head back to the house. And once back at the house was the time I looked down and realized, oh, shoot, this is basically over. This is not 90 minutes. This is 60 minutes. And so there's only one little quick thing, and it's like them discussing if you can steal the money. Are you going to? I'll touch on that in just a moment, but I will just use this space in this extra segment to touch on a bunch more teams from different moments throughout the episode. Devin and Leroy first. I didn't give credence. I didn't remember, honestly, is that well, that like there was at least a real backstab and there was at least the clips from double agents they could play of them like, calling each other an asshole or something. So there's something there. It's still not a great rivalry by any means, but there was there's something there. And the thing that is truly there beyond a rivalry, because they instantly are like, this is going to be great. Like we don't dislike each other that much. Like it doesn't matter. We'll say whatever we need to say in the first confessional or two. Doesn't matter. We will work great together. And in fact, we might be best friends. We might actually get along great. And we've never known this because I've been Johnny Bananas' rival and you're his best friend. And now we're getting to hang out and realizing maybe Devin and Leroy are what I was realizing and watching them. And especially the joint confessional after the daily of like, Devroy might be great TV. They make a lot of sense as like buddies trying to be funny, cracking each other up, doing confessionals together, goofing off together. They make a lot of sense as potentially providing some comic relief and entertainment in the house and kind of being, central figures in like making people have fun and setting up other situations and everything in the house. So I'm more, it's two people I like a heck of a lot. It's two people that I've called favorites of mine at different times throughout the history of the show and my fandom. And I wasn't like super high on them with this cast being so stacked and so many teams I was interested in. But now, as far as like the comic relief, buddy cop, joint confessional almost energy that they're going to give off, I'm kind of in. Ashley and Dario, speaking of pairs providing great content immediately, I think Dario is going to spend this season wondering if he's ready to be a stepdad. I say this thinking it seems like they both allude to, they're both single when they came into this house. And so, I think that's the case, but they both look great. Both look fantastic. And we get a little bit of confirmation. Like, again, maybe some of you knew, I didn't remember their whole history off of the show. I knew they dated on the show. And then like, long enough off the show for Dario to have been on another season, Dirty 30, and say like, I'm still with Ashley, we're moved in together, whatever. So they had moved in together, bad breakup. Dario did it. Dario says here, I was the asshole. I forget what he said, dirtbag, something to that effect. Ashley was like, I was legitimately in love with him. So real feelings there, and they're both hot and they're working together. And I think that as we've seen on X's seasons before, or rival X's seasons, like a Final Reckoning or something, that if you're still both single and you had a bad breakup but you still kind of like each other, you're still both kind of attractive, maybe the best way to get through the challenge is like we could cuddle a little bit. It might help our communication during the challenges. I see a good time in the future for those two on this season. Next up, who I don't necessarily see a good time for, Frank and Sam. Frank is going to have a hard time. Frank is having a hard time. And now the thing we do need to remember is that Frank is very good at television and just a very good talker and just entertaining. Like his confessionals have always been, will always be good. And so there is a small part of me that like Frank would be smart enough and good enough at television to like know to turn up the frustration in the confessionals, or to like have these like, oh, I'm trying so hard, confessionals that he's having here, but I think it's all genuine and real. And he's having a tough time. And I want to believe in his ability to stay chill, be supportive, not care if they win or get last, just want to be like, you know what? We had a rough go that one time, even though we won. And my goal here is to make amends for that. He's too competitive. He's way too competitive. And so I worry for the two of them, but I'm rooting for them. I'm rooting for the lid to stay on, the heart-to-hearts to happen, and I'm rooting for them to win a daily, just win one daily at some point where they can hug it out and be like, hell yeah, we did it this way, the good, friendly, supportive way. So I'm really hoping that they get that, a win of some kind along the way here for them. And then Fessy I will highlight because Fessy Fan Club founder of the Fessy Fan Club for life. Obviously thrilled Fessy and Amber are here, getting not quite the win, second place, whatever they got, doing great. Fantastic strategy of putting the mud on Amber and just picking her up. Very impressive stuff all around. And they seem like they're probably going to be able to work together decently well. That's neither here nor there. I will just say, to come back to the final thing we actually do see at the house is everyone discussing, hey, do you think it's going to be that you get to steal the money? Which someone says, like, as it has been in Rivals history. And I felt like that was good enough that the editing and production team, like, let whichever person said that, leave that confessional in, that's confirmation that this is Rivals 6. Okay. We had Rivals 1, we had Rivals 2, we had Rivals 3, we had Vendettas, Rivals 4, and we had Final Reckoning, Rivals 5. This is Rivals 6. You could argue other seasons maybe even deserve to be included in there, but I felt like because the Seal the Money was Final Reckoning, the second one, and they showed both of them, and then you referenced, like, this has happened before. I felt like that was them confirming for us that those seasons were rival seasons by a different name, which we've all already known and called it. But Fessy is like outright, like, I'll take that money for sure. He's the only one that just like says it that unequivocally. Nicole says it, but like clearly as like a joke because to like, see what Melissa's reaction is. And I don't believe him. And I don't want him. I want them to win. I'm rooting for them to win. I think they very well could win. And if they do, I really hope that he or she does not take the money from either one. I don't want to see that. I don't think he's gonna. I think he's talking a big game here. And I do, though, think that he could. There's a chance. I think more of these teams than not, there's at least one team member that would definitely take the money from the other one. And so we'll see if that becomes a thing. 3 months from now, 12 weeks from now, however many weeks it is from now when we get to watch the finale, we will find out if, in fact, the winning team gets to choose to split or steal. And but I think if that is the case, there is high probability that we steal for the third time ever, see them steal the money. And then the final thing I will say is that at the end, the episode ends, there's a commercial, and I'm like, it's going to come back and there's going to be a next week on. And before there was a next week on, there was just a Nany Turbo trailer. There was just a trailer. It was at least 60 seconds, if not 90 seconds of just this season on Nany and Turbo. Am I the only one that saw it? It felt weird. It like cut in weird. And I was kind of like, is this what they're supposed to be showing? I was very confused, but it was legitimately just like Nany and Turbo for a quick 60 to 90 seconds. And then this season on kind of new super trailer, updated trailer, if you will. And yeah, the last final point is in that trailer and in this episode. Some of the teams that we saw none of, essentially, are some of the juiciest that we have as far as rivals. Like, we got nothing from Sylvia and Kellyanne. And not because there isn't anything to offer. There's plenty to offer because it's the first episode and there's 26 people and there's 13 relationships and there's too much to fit in 55 minutes. So, of course, we didn't get to see most of the people, but it just is such a positive sign that the episode was this good and this interesting and entertaining. And then at the end of it, you're like, and I didn't even get to see or think about half of these teams. And those half of the teams are all interesting and teams I'm going to be thinking about anyways. And so this season is going to rule. Awards time. Best quote. Now, there was a ton, and so I didn't write a lot of them down. I just, kind of narrowed down a few choice selections. Ashley right at the beginning. Anissa is a pick-me girl, friends with everyone, is friends with no one, and that's the truth. And then right after that, the not feeling like $1 million, TJ. That combined was really, really good from her, starting the episode strong. Devon's, I need y'all to get the holy oil, the Bible. I need an altar, a bishop, a pastor, maybe even a rabbi. It's going to be a long season. Very, very good stuff. Nicole, about Melissa. There's more to the beginning of it, but then there's like a long pause and then quote, she has plastic tits. What do you want me to say? And am I wrong that I didn't actually write it down? And then when trying to do the best quote, I'm like, she did say that, right? She didn't say fake tits, fake boobs, and she said plastic tits. I think that's what she said. If I'm wrong on that, I don't know why. But yeah, that one is incredible. Steve, then the one that no one else would have written down, but for me, I did again. The weird energy of Steve and Adam, I am actually going to really enjoy this season. And Steve, when they're trying to have the conversation, he's like, I wish there was a bathtub. And Adam's like, what? He's like, I wish there was a bathtub. And then no one says anything. And then Steve just walks away and says, okay, I tried. I really, really enjoyed that. But I want to start the season off giving the first award of the season to Ashley Millionaire Mitchell, because I'm so happy to have her back. So we will give her the award best moment. There was a lot of montages this episode of old clips. Every single one of them was amazing. Every single one of them was great. I loved every single one of them. We will single out Katie and Veronica's montage of all the montages that were amazing, as that one was particularly amazing. Turbo on the porch swing. Again, I don't know why. I just was giggling to myself. I just found it funny. And Ashley shushing Dario when the whole, like, she said she wants someone to take the lead. She actively told me to take the lead in the challenge, but then she's shushing me, like, roll the tape back. Thought that was really, really funny. I'm giving the best moment, though, Katie Veronica montage, really to all the montages. But again, we'll single that one out. MVP of the episode. So many people could get votes. Everyone was great. This cast is great. This season's going to be great. I am so in love with it already. Frank got votes. Katie got votes. Melissa and Nicole joint got votes. Jonna got votes. Ashley and Dario joint got votes. But I'm going to give the MVP award to Nany. I think her and Turbo, not just the extra bonus footage of them that we get, their own trailer at the end of the episode that we get, but are clearly, one of the 2 or 3 teams that really focused in on in the first episode. They end up getting one of the stars. And I think, this was the beginning of a lot of Nany and Turbo content that we're going to get. It's getting late at night, as you can hear me yawn into the microphone there. But yeah, I just think Nany via confessional, everything else, MVP of the episode. So shout out Nany. Then we have to update the power rankings. We came into the season, we did a season preview that we used the power rankings as a way to do our season preview going backwards to bottom to top. And there's already been huge movement. 1 episode in, 1 daily challenge in, getting to see the teams, how they interacted together initially, how their initial reactions to each other was, the whole thing. Big movement. Okay. So we're going to go top to bottom this time. Amber and Fessy stay number 1. They're the team to beat. They are the best team here. With respect to some of the other teams that win in this first episode, I just think, as I said before, and it's partially biased that, yes, I both like Amber, and I'm obviously as big a Fessy fan as there is on the show. But I do think they're just kind of clear, like, she's a champ and has a ton of strengths and has one glaring weakness, and it's a strength of his. They should be doing everything together. So math shouldn't be a problem for her because he's there, and anything that she provides everything. And so these two are both just well-rounded, really good. And I think they'll be able to get along plenty well enough up until if they decide they have to steal the money from each other, that could be a tense moment. But they got to be first. Devin and Leroy bumped from 3rd to 2nd. Good opening performance. I think they're going to be liked in the house. They will be looked at as a threat, but I think they're also going to be liked. They don't have the obvious alliances, which scares me and is why I originally didn't even put them 1 or 2 to start with, but I'm already sliding them up to number 2. Nany and Turbo, big jump from 7 to 3. It's going to be chaotic, but I do think this is going to be more War of the Worlds 1 than anything of like, they just do really well together, even if they hate each other the whole time they're doing it. Corey and Big T bump up to 4. Ashley and Dario bump up 1 spot to 5. Steve and Adam bump up 2 spots to 6. Kellyanne and Sylvia fall from 4 to 7. Maybe this is just a product of basically not seeing them really in the episode, but Steve and Adam had to get bumped up a little bit for performing really well. I think Ashley and Dario are kind of under the radar, like both going to be just like above average at everything across the board. And when both of your partners are above average at everything across the board, you're going to end up doing pretty solid, I think. And then Melissa and Nicole 8th. Frank and Sam, the biggest drop from 2. I had them at 2 to number 9. I don't. it was only a week ago, and I don't know why I had the belief that I had in them, but we will see. It just was not an inspiring first performance. So they drop pretty big to number 9, Devon and Shane, 10, Ashley and Issa at 11, Veronica, Katie, 12, Beth, Jonna, 13, which those 3 essentially were at the bottom to begin with. And yeah, I just don't think Ashley and Anissa are interesting to me. I don't think Veronica and Katie or Beth and Jonna have a chance to win. And so they certainly have a chance to go to a final, sure, whatever, but I just don't think they can win. So they're at the bottom of the list. And yeah, that's the power rankings. We'll explore it week to week and see how it shifts and changes and see where I was right and see where I was wrong. There's probably going to be a little bit or a lot of bit of both. Predictions for next week. I think the first true daily challenge now, not first true, second daily challenge, first one with consequences of someone going to elimination. I think Fessy and Amber are going to win. I think that there was some foreshadowing here of, getting the confessional from him being like, some people don't want to win the first couple. I don't care. Like, that's not what I'm about. I'm going to try to win them all. I think they're going to do really well. I think they're going to win a bunch of daily challenges. I think I had picked them as to win the most daily challenges this season. I think they win. I think Veronica and Katie are going to get last and go into elimination. And I think Beth and Jonna are going to be voted in to elimination and lose. And Jonna's nightmare is going to be over quite quickly. Those are the predictions for next week. Thank you for sticking with me in this podcast just as long. Basically, I don't know the exact runtime of the episode. It was like 55 minutes, but that was with commercials. So I think this podcast is actually longer than the episode it was itself without commercials. So thanks as always for being here. Subscribe, rate, review, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify or Apple. Those subscriptions do really matter, even if it doesn't matter to you. It doesn't mean anything to you. It does impact the show and the algorithm and all that good stuff. There's a lot of challenge content out there. I appreciate every single one of you that listens or watches this every week. And so if you don't, I don't ask too often, but those things really do drive results. So hit those buttons. Send some comments in if you're on YouTube. DMs are open on Instagram if you want to chat about this season, anything challenge related, anything at all, honestly, really. I'll be there. I don't get on every single day, so sometimes it takes a few days for the response to come, but the response will come. Thank you. I love you. I will talk to you on Friday, and then again, some more All-Stars 5 next week on Wednesday night. Until then, peace.